done. It's not that one is stronger than the other, it just looks like it is maybe. So we'll do the double, I'll do the double thickness, but kind of like this one, a smaller handle. So this tool is actually a pretty good, just grab it to measure thickness so I get consistency. Put that like that. I'll just lay it right next to it. That way. Longer than I'll need them to be eventually. So sandwiching slabs together is never ideal, but you just got to make sure you get lots of good score marks, and then good pressure is kind of the key. Methodic pressure too. So you start in the center and work towards the edges. You just don't want to get any air trapped in between. So put those together. Again, kind of starting right in the center of that. Push that together. Pressure started. Now I can go around, and I want the edges of this to be round anyway, it's not sharp. So as I'm putting that downward pressure, I'm kind of pinching the clay inward, getting a little nice round. Lots of compressing. Are you out of here?
Yeah.
For today? Okay, cool.
I'll
yeah,
see you
that's
in a couple
it.
weeks.
Sounds good. Perfect.
Okay.
See you then. People are getting shut out of classes left and right. Make sure if you want to sign up again, do it right away. Weekend classes are never that bad, but they fill up this time. Okay, so as I'm smoothing this, I'm kind of getting it sort of into the shape of the handle that I want, knowing I'm going to cut off both ends to give. So if you want it to be more of a diner mug shape, or more of like, sometimes longer one, how many fingers? You need 4 fingers in there, 2 fingers, you need at least 1. But all of these are aesthetic decisions. In other words, they'll change the way that it looks, and it's important for you to think about them. Kind of as trivial as they sound, that's what it is to make a functional piece of pottery, is to think about how it's used, like what's comfortable, and really what it comes down to is when I sell handmade mugs, I always have different ones because you find what's comfortable for you. But think about the negative space when you put the handle on there. How much space is that? How far out is it coming? The difference between that and that. Is it right on top like that, or is it down low? If you put it right in the center, you could have a handle that comes up out of here, like that little pitcher thing. It could be a twirled coil handle. There's all sorts of decisions you can make there. This one I'll put, I'll do a little dart in it so you can see that. So I'm going to go right over top of the seam here, and I'm going to cut this. Let's just call it a vertical eyeball.
And you can do it over the seam as well?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. In the long run, it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't. So I've got that cut out. Now I'll score on the inside of that. Score on the inside of this. So this is, something you can do with coil built things as well to kind of change the shape. And if we bring that together, as we do, it's kind of a big one. Give you that bit of a
Like a horse thing.
yes. So only that easy.
Where you were going with that one, now I see.
Ah.
There's room for a whole extra finger in there now.
Yes. So pinching the clay, and this pressure together is fairly difficult as far as it, because you have to push it together. It's not easy to grab it without deforming it too much. Smooth the inside, smooth the outside. Maybe get the wood tooling underneath there so my fingers won't reach. That should do, so go ahead. Okay, so now if I put my handle there, you know,
Yeah.
it changes things. So let's do that. Okay, so figure out where it goes. Set it down, mark the top and the bottom of the top and the bottom. So I know where that's going to go. Square that. Take this a little bit. Change the angle of this just a little bit. Yeah, a lot of the same rules apply as woodworking, but it's clay, so you can just smush it if you mess up. Or if your measurements are a little wrong. Or if you change your mind.
Sewing too.
Yeah.
Parts and reshaping things.
So, finger on the inside for that opposite pressure. Get that together first. Oftentimes with handles, I'll take a coil, put it all the way around and all the way around so that I have extra clay, especially on these ones that are thinner. And then it gives you just that little bit of a round there. You can make that a little more so that, you know, it's where your finger ends up resting, so a little round there is nice. Sometimes a little dollop of clay on the top for a thumb rest or something. So, see how I set that on a little piece of clay, how I messed it up? Don't do that on yours. See how that works? That's what I get. Alright, so first, before I put that little bit of clay, just use the tool and smooth it. But if you look real close when you do this, you can tell pretty clearly how it makes it a little bit thinner right around that connection. So I'll get this smooth together. I'll get the coil on there, and then where I am now, so as I'm doing that too, as I'm stretching that, like when this fires, it's likely going to be a little oval like that because the clay has a memory. Even if I keep pushing it back to circle like that, clay has a memory. So it's just one of the things about making things this way. It's tricky. If you can keep it circular the entire time, I've even tried things like putting saran wrap over top as it dries, and it helps a little bit, but not really. There's not much you can do. So keep that in mind. And then when it comes out and it's warped, think about, like, was that because of how I was holding it? You know, like, you can kind of learn things like that. So, and from this point, I still have to get the coil around there and smooth it together. And even once I do that, I probably have, however long that takes me, plus that to smooth it, to get it to where I'll let it dry, stamp my E in it, let it dry. You'll notice on the bottom of these, even this one that doesn't have glaze on it, it's still a little bit of a concave there. It's always a good idea when you have a flat bottom like that to push that in. It gives you a little little ring that it sets on. It's going to be a little more stable. It's less likely to wobble if you do that. So little details like that. Sometimes I'll take them and kind of, as I'm working on them, roll that so it actually pushes that up a little bit more. That's a good place for the glaze to stop, but it's also, when you're glazing, something to grab onto. And you'll learn the importance of that as you start glazing your pieces. But when you're cleaning it, whatever, it's not a bad thing to have that little extra handle there. You don't think of the function of that until you're making these things for years, but it's always good to have that. So
You do that on the first day as opposed to waiting.
yeah, so the rest of this, I'll sit here and finish this while you guys get started, and yeah, most of the smoothing, everything. It's best to get all of your attachments done one day for, like, your purposes, and then you can do the smoothing the next class.
Okay.
It's possible, but less ideal to attach things the second class.